fellow riders. When can I expect results when connecting with horses? What equipment do I need and how long does it take? Are among the questions for this evening's live. So if you are joining in and if you have any questions too, please put them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer. Yes, because in a few hours, Ride Like a Viking members is closing for enrollment and we are only open 3 times per year. So if you are considering joining, I hope this video will be helpful for you. And I also hope you take the leap and join before midnight so that you too can experience the amazing results you can get from connecting with horses. Yeah, so let's talk about results. And as for me, after I returned from Mongolia and experienced how horses really are from riding the semi-wild horses there and getting a whole lot of feedback on my own need of control, which I then, started working on once I got back home to Norway. I have had results, beyond my wildest dreams because as an educated horse trainer and riding instructor, and I've been training horses for many, many years, hundreds of them. Once I tapped into this by understanding the true nature of horses and how to communicate with them, I was able to succeed with one of my mares who had been a huge problem, which I kind of considered being crazy since I've been taming so many horses. There's a rotten apple, in each basket, right? So it's very easy to dismiss these horses as crazy. But what I found after connecting with her was that she is probably my best horse ever. But it was I who was, you know, controlling her in a way that made her feel uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable she was, the more I tried to control her, which made her even more uncomfortable. And that was kind of a vicious circle. So once I was able to break that vicious circle, I could ride her without reins, without doing a whole lot of obedience training. It was basically connection training because she was already trained, right? So that's my experience. I'm not sure this mare would have been considered rideable if it wasn't for like this program. And I also had members reporting to me results that I almost, it's like they don't really make sense, but once I think about it, it actually makes sense. Like Kim de Liege, she was able to pick up all her horse's feet at liberty by just doing the connection exercise and without working on picking up his feet. And this horse had been a huge struggle with picking up his feet for years. So it got solved by connecting with him, not by picking up his feet. And separation anxiety, like severe separation anxiety, has also been solved. And horses who are pushy and aggressive, they stop being pushy and aggressive. Because guess what? The more pushy and aggressive the horse is, the more we want to try to control them. And the more we control them, the more they search for being pushy and have a destructive behavior as a way of getting out it. And it all boils down to the nature of horses as herd animals. They are prey animals and they are flight animals and they live together in herds. And I think to be able to survive in a herd without being afraid of predators all the time, these horses take turns in taking the guard. Right. So once we notice this, it can't really be unseen, but you have probably seen it too. Like if you've seen horses lying down and sleeping, you very rarely see all the horses lying and sleeping together all the time. There are usually a couple horses standing and taking the guard. And once we notice this, we can then try to be the one taking the guard when together with our horse. And by taking the guard, we then have something to offer the horse of value. But to be able to take the guard for a horse, we need to read their body language right. And we also need to be a little bit disciplined with what we do with the horse, at least in the first encounter. At least if I see a horse, I want to pet it, or I want to start training it, or I want to teach it fun tricks, or I want to pick up the feet, or I want to brush it. I want to do something. But very often these horses, before they get to know us and before we have taken the guard for them, they are a little bit on the watch of the surroundings. So they will have a little bit of a stiff neck, their ears forward, and their back a little bit dropped. Basically, the horse looks happy. And that's when we need to recognize this happy look as a horse who is taking the guard because no one else does. And if we then can be the one taking the guard, they will trust us and follow us at liberty. And this can happen in like 20 minutes. So it doesn't have to take long, and you don't have to need pressure and release or treats to be able to make the horse follow at liberty. They will follow you because you are able to take the guard and have something you offer your horse. And I think this is also why this solves separation anxiety, because we then become the herd when away from the herd. But if we start petting the horse and start brushing the horse and start doing lots of stuff with the horse, we basically tell the horse that I don't recognize your body language. And if we tell them that we don't recognize their body language, the horse is going to think, how on earth is this person who doesn't recognize me taking the guard? How is this person going to see and notice a wolf in the bushes, right? So this can happen from the first encounter, and it can take as little as 20 minutes before a relationship between a horse and a human is completely transformed. Like these horses, they know from the moment we pick up the lead rope our intention. So I have had members who have gotten results after 20 minutes. And so this is not a very good business strategy, to be honest, because if they only need a 20-minute session to completely transform their relationship with their horse, why are they supposed to then stay members? But on the other hand, since we meet every week and talk about horses, and this program is always developing also through the members' feedback, you know, many of the Ride Like Viking members, they stick around, you know, for the community. And they also know I have their back. So I hope this helps. So let me know in the comments if you have experienced this too, like a total transformation in 20 minutes. I know change can happen in 20 minutes. But there's another thing that probably doesn't happen in 20 minutes. And that's building a habit of hind leg engagement. That takes a little bit longer, but once we have gotten the transformation going from the first session and the horse starts feeling better, they are not so much on guard, their back lifts, their neck, loosens, and their ears start to be more like alive. They can also, tilt their ears a bit towards us and be more responsive to our body language and our communication, right? And when the horse then feels good and wants to be where they are and not everywhere else and isn't on guard, they will start to move much more functionally. So they will use their hind legs better, and they will lift their backs, and they will start building, better muscles from just feeling better and moving more functionally. But I do recommend being a little bit aware of this, when leading the horse. So if we are kind of leading the horse by the chin, they tend to drop their back a bit and become a bit stiff in the neck, which will affect how they move. But if we have a long lead rope and we can get some outside turns, we can engage the horse's hind, and they will build a functional pattern of movement that they will carry with them when ridden and also out in the pasture. But this habit takes a little longer than just 20 minutes. But on the other hand, this habit is something we can build while doing something we would do with a horse anyway, like leading them and brushing them and saddling them and riding them, right? So it doesn't need to take more time, but we can just do things slightly differently. Okay, so I hope this has answered those two questions. And I have also actually made a page somewhere where I'm trying to collect all the reviews and references from horse owners and trainers who have done the program. So I might drop that link down below here so that you can see for yourself, like how long it takes and what kind of results to expect. But you can expect the unexpected in a way. But on the other hand, don't expect that your horse is never going to have a problem ever in his life. That's not what this program is about. So if you have some kind of expectations that your horse is never going to spook again, or never do this or never done that, that's not the case. But you will have tools so that you're able to solve it and calm your horse back down when your horse spooks. And you will also have tools so that if your horse loses motivation or lacks forwards, you are able to reinstall forwards. Or if your horse, someone borrows your horse and your horse comes back, a little bit stiffer in the bit, you have tools to fix it and reinstall feel. So this is not necessarily about having a problem-free horse life, but it will definitely give you the tools so that you know how to solve the problems and know what to do in scary situation, which will build confidence both in you and also in your horse. And just to say just a little bit about this, then I think the most common mistakes we do as humans, and also something we might also learn in when taking riding lessons and such, is grabbing two reins when shit hits the fan. Like we want to stop the horse and we use two reins. But guess what? Horses can lean against two reins. And stopping a horse by using two reins isn't gonna empty worry. But in the Ride Like a Viking program, we do quite a bit of what I call the bend to stop, where the horse finds its own stop by softening the neck and crossing over behind. Because horses can't buck and they can't bolt and they can't rear while crossing over behind. They need to stand in both hind legs to be able to do that. So this pattern of movement makes it very easy to empty worry in an anxious horse. Just as trying to stop a horse with two reins who is worried is probably going to stop the horse, but is not going to empty worry. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't even stop the horse because the horse can lean against it and buck and bolt and do other stuff. So this is a great tool for, staying safe. And it's also actually a great tool for getting forward and hind leg engagement, because just as we can do the bend to stop, we can do the bend to start. So that's a kind of a magical tool that I think should be taught in all riding schools, and everyone who owns a horse should learn to do it, and the horse should also learn to do it, because for this to work, both the horse and the rider needs to have practiced it a few dozen times. Yeah, or at least it needs to be, you can't just do a bend to stop in an emergency situation if you've never done it and your horse has never done it. Then it's not going to work. So let me know in the comments if this makes sense. And if you already know the bend to stop and how to do it properly, also let me know, because if that's the case, I'm like, yes, the horse world is moving forwards. Because the bend to stop isn't about controlling the horse. It's about softening the horse's body, which will also softening their mind. So their body and mind are connected. But a whole lot of the exercises are about softening the horse's mind, which will soften their bodies. Right, so we can go from many directions here, but this is not about never having a horse who is upset or anxious or stuff like that, because that is probably going to happen, but it's about giving you the tools to solve it. And very often also, like I experienced with my mare, like her regular state of mind now is much calmer and much more confident than where and than how she used to be. So she is also a whole lot more safer to ride and has in many ways changed her personality. But it doesn't mean that she can never spook. But I have the tools to fix it. When I see that she is building up worry, I have a way of emptying it. Just as with our children's horse, if I see he starts losing motivation and starts piggy pacing and going on the front part, I have tools to, get him out of it and put him on a better path of moving from self. Okay, so I hope this helps. And I have several other questions here too that I have gotten. And one of them is why we are only open 3 times per year. And the reason we are only open for about 14 days, 3 times per year, is so that if you become a Ride Like a Viking member, you get all the feedback and support you need to succeed. Because we meet once a week on Zoom, or you at least have the possibility to meet once per week on Zoom. And if there are hundreds of new members at the same time, I might not be able to, talk about all the questions. And I'm not the only one who's doing the talking either. Fellow members are giving advice and talking too. So we have this communication going. And I think that's probably one of the most valuable things of Ride Like a Viking members is this communication, because I have amazing members with amazing knowledge and experience from many different fields, which then becomes kind of this pool. Yeah. So I'm always looking forward to the Thursday live Q&As, which are every week. Yes. And there are other questions, like what equipment is necessary. So you don't need to buy any particular equipment to join, but I do recommend you have a halter and a long lead rope. That's all you need. You don't need side reins or martingales or a whole bunch of stuff. But a lead rope that is about 12 feet long or longer with a good feel to it is a very valuable tool to have. And then a regular halter or a rope halter. Doesn't need to be a rope halter, but the halter needs to not have this hook that you kind of can move around. So I just want a regular halter with a kind of a solid attachment of the lead rope. Because what I've seen is that most halters who are sold in horse tack shops, they have this ring that you attach the lead rope to that kind of goes a little bit left to right, and that makes it very difficult to operate through feel. Like imagine if you were riding a horse and your rein sometimes was here and sometimes there, it would, kind of mess up the communication. And how we communicate with our horse with the lead rope on the ground transfers to how the horse responds to the rein when ridden. So this is all kind of connected. Yes. And if you are fond of cross tying your horse, then I have a little video for you which shows you how you can ground tie, because cross ties has a tendency to ruin feel. Because if you keep your horse cross tied with ropes and it's kind of pressure on the ropes, or the ropes are heavy, the horse is going to ignore the feel. And feel is when we can communicate with the horse by picking up the lead or picking up the rein. Yeah. So I don't have any videos on how to cross tie a horse, but I have a couple of videos on how you can ground tie so that your horse can stand without being tied. But we can single tie as well, as long as the horse has a slack when standing still. Yeah, because then the horse can respond to the slack going out of the rope. Yeah, this is something you are going to be an expert of in a matter of days. Once we notice, it can't be unnoticed. Just as once we notice where the horse has the attention and how the horse is feeling, it also can't be unnoticed because horses speak volumes with their body language. Yes. So let me know in the comments below if you have maybe tried one of our free exercises. We have one exercise called the connection exercise, which some of you may have done. And just as a little bit of warning, this connection exercise, it works on about 80% of horses. But if your horse is what I called compliant but not comfortable, like your horse is very obedient and always looking at you, then this way of connecting with horses isn't going to work. And also, if your horse is shut down, then it's probably not going to work as well. And there's a third group of horses that the regular connection exercise doesn't work so much on, and that's the ones who are pushy and aggressive. Then I would do something else. But this is all shown in the Ride Like a Viking members program. You will get like 5 different paths into connection depending on the horse you have. But about 80% of them, it's enough to just notice what I call the cold shoulder, get some distance, and take the guard. And the horse is immediately going to notice that you have noticed. And once you've taken the guard, they will follow you at liberty. And from there, we have built a connection on the ground that we can bring with us up into the riding, which makes liberty very easy. And it also solves a whole army of common horse problems. Yes, because I hear so many times that it takes a lifetime to master, to be a good rider, and horse riding is complicated and whatnot. Horses are unpredictable and this is dangerous. But I think that very many of these problems comes from the way it has become normal to train and handle horses. So it's so normal that we don't even notice it. Like before I went to Mongolia, I didn't experience myself as a controlling rider. But I was, and I wasn't like pulling on the reins and holding tight reins. I saw myself as a kind of a supportive and soft rider. But these semi-wild horses, they experienced my soft support as, controlling, and that they didn't really have the freedom to move and they didn't feel that they had a way out, which then made them very dangerous to ride because they didn't want to have me on their back. So they would either throw me off or they would start stumbling in the holes on the ground. Yes, so let me know if this helps and if you have any more questions. I can't really see any questions. So I will kind of advise you to go to ridelikeaviking.com/course. And if you have any questions that I haven't talked about, then there's a frequently asked question folder on this page where you will get answers to questions like, how do I unsubscribe? What happens if the price changes? Do I need good Wi-Fi? Do I have to own a horse to do the program? Or is this only for a particular breed or like a type of horses? Can I ride dressage and do the program at the same time? Stuff like that. So please go to ridelikeaviking.com/course and you will find even more answers, and you will also hopefully be able to join before we close at midnight. And if you want to join, I warm welcome you on board. And if you don't, I still very, very grateful you took the time to listen to me this evening. And I know you are here to make this world a better place for horses. So let's keep up the great work. And maybe I will see you on the inside of Ride Like Viking members. Okay, bye for now.